Good day. Once again, my name is Lakunle Oluwaseun Ibrahim. I will be explaining the concept of culture using Nigeria as a case study. The essence of this explanation is to allow us to understand the concept of culture and its significance in Nigerian society. It will also make us understand the diversity of culture and traditions in Nigeria, and it will also give us an insight into the impact of culture on social norms, values, and behavior. And lastly, we'll be exploring the role of culture in shaping Nigeria identity and national development. In the first instance, what exactly do we mean by culture? Uh, if you ask many people, they will tell you culture is the way of life of people. Yes, it is acceptable, but we must take into consideration that the concept of culture is very complex and it varies from one society to the other. But in general terms, culture simply refers to the shared values, beliefs, behaviors, custom, languages, tradition, artifacts that characterize a group or society. This implies that every society comes with its own culture, and at the same time, their culture shapes how they perceive the world. We often say in the field of sociology that man is a product of his environment. This implies that your life is going to be shaped, or how your perception about the world is going to be shaped on the basis of your interaction with others within the society, and this will make you understand your place within your community. Defining culture has so many features that we must look out for, because culture can be broadly understood if we are able to put these features into consideration. One is shared systems of meaning. There is always a collective belief and practices that provide sense of identity for people of a particular society. We also have learned behaviors. Customs and traditions are passed from one generation to the other through the process of socialization. People learn the norms and values of their culture through the process of socialization. Remember, socialization is a lifelong process that involves the transformation from a biological organism into a social organism. Culture is very important in the society. We must learn our culture whether we like it or not. It is very important that we understand our culture so that we can also pass same to our own children and to grandchildren and to great grandchildren. There are people who must continue to uphold the values and norms of their culture, or let me say, of their society. Then, if you look at the importance of culture, number one is that it defines identity. Culture gives individuals, or it gives you and I, a sense of belonging and self identity concerning our own history and our community. If you are deep rooted in your cultural history, you have a sense of belonging. It would define your identity. For example, some people will say, I am an Igbo man, I'm a Yoruba man, I'm Hausa Fulani. You believing in that culture defines your identity. Then, one of the importance of culture is also that it maintains our social order. Cultural norms and values often guide people of a particular society, and it helps in maintaining social cohesion and social stability. It equally enables communication. Languages and symbols in culture facilitates high level of understanding of issues, and it helps in maintaining better interaction within our various communities. One importance is also that culture preserves heritage. Culture helps to preserve every society's history, stories, traditions for generations that are coming behind. That is why most of the things you and I listen to as regards to our culture is as a result of the fact that there are people who have documented some of these things. Also, culture fosters diversity, because different cultures contribute to a rich, diverse global society. And this will always enhance creativity and innovation even within larger cultures. Then culture also creates support for social development. If you have the chance of understanding cultural differences, and this implies that you will be able to promote tolerance, you will be able to build cooperation, and you will be able to build a peaceful coexistence even with people who are not of your cultural origin. Then we have types of culture. Most importantly, culture in its broadest sense encompasses, like I said earlier on, encompasses shared beliefs, behaviors, artifacts, and these are the things that characterize a group or a society. One type of culture is material culture, and this comprises of tangible objects created for use by the society, such as tools, building. These are things that you can see with your eyes. You know that this is a material aspect of culture. We equally have non-material aspect of culture, and a non-material aspect of culture encompasses the intangible things. If you look at the difference between material and non-material culture, material culture is tangible, you can see them. Non-material culture is what? Not tangible, it's intangible aspect of the culture. This includes beliefs, norms, values, and traditions. But in some textbooks, there are further categorization of culture. You see in some textbooks, you see what they call high culture. High culture at times simply refers to the artistic and intellectual achievements appreciated by a more elite segment of the society, and this is often associated with stuff like, let's say, classical music, fine arts, and literature. We equally have what we call popular culture. Popular culture, on the other hand, encompasses, let's say, widely disseminated cultural products and practices that appeal to the masses, such as popular music, also television, and fashion. Then there are also basic cultural concepts. When you are discussing culture, there are concepts that you must understand very well. One of these concepts is what we call cultural relativism. Different societies or culture are analyzed objectively without ignoring the values of one culture to judge another or to judge the worth of another. So we cannot necessarily possibly understand the actions of other groups if we do not take time to study them. So we must interpret their behavior in the light of their motives, habits, and values if we are really to understand them. Cultural relativism means that the function and meaning of a trait are relatively to let me say are relative to its cultural settings. It implies that there are things that are related in every culture, and you must be able to analyze the other people's culture objectively. Another concept is the concept of diffusion. The term diffusion refers to the borrowing of cultural elements from societies, or let me say other societies, in contrast to your own independent invention within the host society. As times goes on, you agree with me that some of us have been able to borrow, especially Western culture, and we are so much in love with Western culture now that we are already accustomed to it. We love other cultures. It's because of diffusion. It is because we have been able to borrow elements from the Western world into our own society. That is cultural diffusion. Another concept under culture is the concept of ethnocentrism. This implies that you and I prefer our own culture. We believe in the superiority of our culture than another culture. This implies that we have the tendency to place our own cultural pattern over others, or we place them at the center of things, believing that your own culture is the best. You are an Igbo man, and you have decided to continue to wear your I don't know the name they call this, their red cloth and the red cap, believing that is how you are supposed to look as an Igbo man. When you place that at the center of things and believing that supersedes every other culture, it is called ethnocentrism. And the opposite of ethnocentrism is xenocentrism. This refers to the preference for products, styles, or ideas of someone else's culture rather than that of your own. You have so much been westernized to the extent that you don't even dress in an African way. You believe that of Western, you have preference for the Western way of life, sense of dialogue, clothes, and some other things over yours. That implies that you are xenocentric. You believe your culture is inferior, placing other people's culture at the center of things. We also have what we call acculturation. This term is used to describe both process of contact between different cultures and also the customs of such contacts. This implies that as an Igbo man, when you come in contact with a Yoruba person and you now put into consideration their customs, values, and beliefs. That is acculturation. As the process of contact between cultures coming, acculturation will now involve a direct social interaction or exposure to other culture by means of the mass media communication or any type of communication process you are able to use. There is also the concept of culture shock. Let me say, for example, we have the Gwaris in the FCT. And in most situations, you see their elderly women carrying loads on their shoulder. I'm sure if you are not very familiar with the culture, there is this expression of disorientation you express when you first come in contact with their culture. You'll be like, wow, that shock, that disorientation, that psychological expression when you come in contact with another person's culture or when you experience an unfamiliar way of life due to possibly immigration or a visit to a new country, it's called culture shock. Then we also have counterculture. Counterculture is a sociological term used to describe the values and norms or behavior of a cultural group or subculture that run counter to those of the social mainstream. What do I mean by the mainstream culture of the day? For example, you have Yoruba people living in Kano, and everything about them is always contradicting the larger culture. They are always opposing the larger culture. Their way of behavior is always not in line with the norms and values of that society. Counterculture can also, at the same time, be described as a group whose behavior deviates from the societal norm. Which societal norm? It may be within their own society as well, and it could be in other people's society. Then we have subculture. In the field of sociology or cultural studies, subculture is a group of people let me say, within the larger culture. If you have whether distinct or hidden culture, it will, but it sometimes differentiates them from the larger culture to which they belong. Anywhere you are, let's say an example of Yoruba people in Enugu, they are subculture because they are a smaller culture within the larger culture. Therefore, let me now explain the overview of Nigerian cultural diversity. This is where the real issue is. Nigerian cultural diversity is one of the most vibrant in the world. In fact, it's very vibrant and at the same time rich in nature because it reflects the country's complex history, ethnic issues, and regional variations. Nigeria, in most situations, is often described as a model for multiculturalism with a blend of numerous ethnic groups, languages, traditions, and religious practices. Then, if you take a look at Nigerian cultural diversity, looking at it from the ethnic groups, Nigeria is home to over 250 ethnic groups and over 500 languages, with just three the ethnic groups being the largest group. We have the Hausa Fulani in the north. Let's say in the northern region, they are primarily or predominantly Muslims with a very rich tradition of trade, Islamic scholarship, and historic empires. Then we have the Yorubas, located mainly in the southwestern Nigeria, known for their elaborate festivals, arts, and some forms of cultural beliefs. Then we have the Igbos, who are primarily in the southeastern part of Nigeria. They are also recognized for their entrepreneurship spirit, and vibrant festivals also occur in those societies, and they have complex social structures. Then, in terms of language, Nigeria is multilingual with over 500 languages spoken across the country. The major languages includes Hausa, that is widely spoken in the northern Nigeria, Yoruba, that is widely spoken in the southwestern Nigeria, and Igbo, that is widely spoken in the southeastern Nigeria. However, there is large presence of English language that is being used as official languages in government, education, and formal communication process. In terms of analyzing this diversity, we also have to look at the religious practices of our people in Nigeria. Nigeria is religiously diverse, with Islam being the uh, dominant religion in the northern part of Nigeria, with a strong influence on culture and their law. In the northern Nigeria, they operate Sharia law, and instead of like the northern part of Nigeria operates using penal code, while the southern Nigeria operates using criminal code. We also have the large presence of Christians. Christianity as a religion is predominant in the south, let's say south, southeast, and southwestern Nigeria, with and some parts of the north, with numerous denominations and vibrant religious festivals or religious gatherings. We also have African traditional religion. In fact, this is mostly present among the indigenous groups, and this involves rituals, festivals, and belief center around natural spirits and ancestors. Now down to cultural practices. There are festivals, and Nigeria celebrates numerous festivals like the Yorubas, who celebrate Egungun Festival, the Igbos celebrate Iriam Festival, there is also Hausa Doba Festival, there is Argungu Festival, and all sorts of festivals. There is where we also have arts and crafts, especially some parts of Nigeria are renowned for textiles. Adire, kente, that is mostly common among the Yorubas. We have beadwork, sculpture, music, dance, and storytelling, which varies from one region to the other. We also have cuisines. We have a lot of food that our people prepare. Nigerian food is diverse. In fact, some say Nigerian jollof rice is the best in the world. This has been a very serious argument on social media, and we have peppered fish influenced by local ingredients and tradition. Then we have social values. Our social values include respect for elders and community. Respect for elder is central to Nigerian culture. Elders are seen as people who see far beyond the younger generation, and they are placed in a very high and esteemed level in the society as a whole. And then our social values also laid so much emphasis on the family as a social institution, because we share community bonds and social cohesion. We equally have hospitality and generosity that are highly valued at every time. Then, what is the significance of Nigeria's cultural diversity? This diversity enriches Nigeria's social fabrics. It fosters creativity. It builds innovation, resilience, and it also comes with its own challenges, because Nigeria is a society that is diverse. So managing ethnic tensions or ethnic issues in Nigeria is always very difficult. Maintaining unity and pluralism has also been a very serious problem in Nigeria. And as the country continues to navigate through dialogue, cultural celebrations, and inclusive policies, we may get out of some of these problems at some point. We must also understand the fact that there is an impact of colonialism and modernization on culture. If you look at Nigerian culture, for example, The culture has been a very profound one. It shapes the country's social, political, and cultural landscapes in significant ways. Then we also need to understand that both the process of colonialism and modernization has brought a whole lot of change, sometimes beneficial. At the same time, some of the changes are challenging, and those things continue to influence Nigeria till today. If you look at the impact of colonialism on Nigerian culture, colonialism in Nigeria primarily by the British rule started in the late centuries to the mid 20th century, and it had a very serious effect, or let me say enduring effect. There was introduction of Western education. Colonial rulers established schools which led to the proliferation of Western education. And this created a new educated elite, but it also diminished indigenous language systems and traditional customs. We also have language and administration. As at that time, English became the official language and it remains so even till now. And this has affected communication, education, and governance in Nigeria. There are people who do not understand English till we speak today. Indigenous languages and dialects often decline at every point. Though there are some people who have persisted, who have been persistent in their local dialects, but that is still not enough. It also had impact on our legal and political systems. Colonial rule introduced Western legal systems and administrative boundaries. Until we speak right now, the law we teach in this country still has some part of colonial contribution. Then, if you look at impact of modernization on Nigerian culture, it has brought about urbanization. It has brought about globalization. There is also the problem of changing social norms. There is cultural preservation and innovation. Then, in summary, while colonialism created new systems that reshaped indigenous ideologies, modernization continues to have serious influence and it sometimes threatens traditional culture in Nigeria. The challenge for us right now in Nigeria is to balance modernization, the benefits we get from it, with the preservation of our rich cultural heritage. The challenges and the changes to our culture has to do with influence of Western culture, but we must do everything possible to preserve our culture and must, at every slight opportunity, we try as much as possible to revitalize the aspect of culture that is gone. Thank you very much.